We often romanticize the destination while hiding or even demonizing the journey it takes to get there. So today, I'm letting you behind the curtain. As you can probably see, there's a little situation that's happening with my smile here. I'm missing a few teeth. And no, I didn't get punched in the mouth. I'm currently in the middle of some dental work, a process of getting some things replaced and taken care of. And it's going to take a couple weeks. And honestly, part of me wanted to hide completely until everything looked perfect again. But I refuse to let this temporary imperfection silence a message that I know needs to be heard, because the truth is the journey is rarely polished. Growth can look awkward. Healing can look unfinished. And sometimes obedience means showing up before you feel fully put together. And yes, I am missing a few teeth, but I'm not missing my voice, and the message can't wait. Now, with all that said, let's begin. The crash cymbal came crashing off the stand and landed directly in my lap. And people were walking around me, tearing down chairs, wrapping up cables, packing up equipment. You see, at that time, we were still inside the wedding venue where we were portable as a church, where we set up and tore down every Sunday. And there I was, sitting behind this drum kit that wasn't mine, trying to prove I was ready to become our church's next drummer. And I finished that last song with a crash. And as I hit that crash, the crash came crashing down on me, and my worship leader looked at me and kindly said, "Yeah, it's going to be a no for now, but keep practicing, work on a few things here, and try again in a few months." That was extremely difficult to hear, but she was right. I had had the desire, the dream, and the opportunity, but I had not yet paid the price required to be ready. And that experience taught me something I will never forget. Your opportunity will eventually show up. The question is whether it will reveal you or expose you. Now, have you ever wondered what separates the best in their field from everyone else? I mean, why are there millions of people playing basketball, but there's only one Michael Jordan, one LeBron, one Steph Curry? Why do thousands of people start businesses, but only one Elon Musk, one Jeff Bezos? Why do so many people sing and dance, but there's only one Michael Jackson? It's so tempting to believe that the difference is purely talent. When we tell ourselves that certain people are born special, they had the right connections, they had more money, better opportunities, then yes, those advantages do and can matter. But natural ability is not the entire story, because we all have watched talented people waste their true potential. We have watched intelligent people remain stuck. We have watched gifted people get outworked by people who were initially less capable than they were. Almost everyone can improve enough to become exponential in a meaningful area of their life, but nobody is willing to do what it takes. Not because excellence isn't unavailable, but because excellence has a price. And most people would rather admire excellence than pay for it. My own lesson has started when I was in sixth grade. I grew up down the street from our local high school, and when I would go outside, I could hear the drum line practicing. I could hear the drums travel through the neighborhood, the rhythm, the energy, the power. There was something about that that captured my attention. And also around that same time period, the movie Drumline with Nick Cannon had come out. So between hearing the high school drumline and seeing that movie, a dream began growing inside of me. I wanted to be a drummer. So when the opportunity came to try out for my school band when I was in the sixth grade, I went for it. I was hopeful. I waited for the letter with eager expectation for them to tell me that I made it. When the letter arrived, I opened it to read, "Congratulations, you have been selected for the trumpet." The trumpet? I didn't even try out for the trumpet. I wanted to play the drums. So in the sixth grade wisdom of mine, I said, forget that. I'll just go into art classes and become an architect. And I placed that dream on the shelf. And I did not destroy the dream. I did not officially abandon it, but I simply put it somewhere in the background and allowed it to collect dust for years. And a lot of us have dreams sitting on the shelf like that. Something happened that didn't match the picture that we had in our head. So we were rejected, redirected. Someone misunderstood us. We did not get selected. We tried once and did not work. So we interpreted that one disappointment as the final answer. But sometimes no does not mean never. Sometimes it means not this way or not yet. And then if we fast forward to 2013, my youth pastors felt called to plant a church about 45 minutes away. And as we began planning and preparing for the church, we might need a drummer. And when I heard that, that old dream that was sitting on the shelf started to kind of sparkle and come alive again. I didn't make a big announcement. I didn't even tell anybody that I was about to try to become a drummer. I just started practicing privately. One of my close friends allowed me to borrow his drum set, and I brought it home. I set it up in my room, and I got to work a little here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there, trying to prepare myself in case the opportunity appeared again. And when our church launched, they didn't need me to play right away. We had 2 other drummers that thankfully were sharing their talents because they were a part of the Bible college down the street. And I could have taken that as another sign to quit. I could have said, apparently this is just not for me. But something was reborn inside me again, so I continued to practice quietly in the background. That part is important because everybody wants to be seen performing. The very few people want to remain faithful in the hidden, in the private, in the preparation that no one would see. We want the stage and we want the recognition. We want somebody to notice our hard work and dedication and potential, but there are some seasons when nobody is going to applaud you. Nobody is going to check on your progress. Nobody is going to force you to practice and to get better and hone in your skills. The only thing keeping you committed is the decision that you made about the person that you were becoming. And that brings me to this idea that's commonly referred to Price's Law, named after the guy who figured this out. And it suggests that many productive groups, there's relatively small number of contributors that generate disproportionately large amounts of the output and results. I mean, imagine if you had a company with 100 salespeople. You may discover that only 10% of those salespeople are contributing to 50% more of the results. And the same general pattern can be applied to sports, education, business, creative work. A lot of people participate, but a small number become competent. Fewer become professionals, even fewer become stars, and only tiny number of them become extraordinary and legendary. But why? Because average participation is easy to scale, but excellence, it's not. Mediocrity multiplies quickly because it requires little intention. Excellence grows slowly because it requires someone to repeatedly pay the price that most people are so unwilling to pay. The price is not one dramatic moment. It's not one motivational speech. It's not one late night. It's not one burst of inspiration. The price is consistency, repetition, receiving correction without allowing the correction to crush you. It is working when no one else is impressed and no one sees. It's practicing when someone else is already in the position that you want. It's preparing without receiving a guarantee that your preparation will ever be rewarded. Almost everybody wants the results, but very few people want to do the messy, mundane routines that produce it. You see, a few years had passed by, and eventually those 2 drummers who had been serving with us finished their time with our church, and now we needed another drummer. This was the opportunity that I had been waiting for, and at that time, we were also still portable. So for anyone unfamiliar with that term, it means that we did not have a permanent building. We had our Sunday services inside of this wedding venue, and every week we brought the church and we set up the sound equipment. We arranged the chairs, we prepared the stage, we held the service, and then we tore everything back down, packed it up away again, and did it all the next Sunday. And at the time I was running sound, but I also knew that we needed the drummer. So one Sunday after service, my worship leader allowed me to try out using the drum kit that was already set up. So people were moving around, they were tearing down, the whole process had started. And this was not a private controlled audition. It was happening in the middle of activity and noise. But I sat down and I started playing through the songs that I had practiced. And then I reached to the end of the song, hit the crash, and the crash came crashing down on me. So it's safe to say I was far from ready, and my worship leader, thankfully, she didn't humiliate me, and she didn't tell me I would never become a drummer. She simply told me the truth. It wasn't the right time yet. Keep working. Try again in a few months. And I had another decision to make. Was I going to let this stop me, or was I going to remain resilient despite rejection? Because again, they weren't rejecting me. They were simply saying no to the skills that were not yet fully developed. This is where many dreams die. They don't die because a person lacks potential. They die because the person confuses an honest assessment with a permanent identity. Someone tells you that the work that you have is not ready, and you hear you were not good enough. Someone tells you to improve, and you hear you don't belong here. Someone says not yet, and you only hear never. But feedback is not always rejection. Sometimes feedback is a map. It shows you the distance between where you are and where you need to be. And the question is whether you were humble enough to follow it. Because I could have said, well, at least I tried. But I tried can become an escape hatch. It can become an excuse for procrastination. It can become a phrase that is used to protect ourselves from the responsibility of improving. You make one attempt. The attempt goes awful. Then we retreat and we tell everybody, I tried. Trying once is not the same thing as training. Trying test where you currently are. Training changes where you currently are. I did not need another wish. I did not need another wish. I needed repetition. I needed to work my work. All meaningful work operates in two directions. Your work can eventually work for you, but first it's usually going to work on you. The practice was developing my coordination. It was developing my timing. It was developing my ability to hear the other musicians and my confidence. And it was also developing my patience, humility, resilience, willingness to keep going after an embarrassing moment. You see, sometimes we say that our work is not working because it's not yet producing the external results that we wanted. The business has not grown. The audience has not arrived. The promotion is not happening. The opportunity is not open. But while the work is not yet working for you, it is working on you. It may be turning you into the person who will be able to carry the opportunity when you finally get it. A blessing received before you are prepared can become a burden you cannot fully carry. An opportunity received too early can expose weaknesses and crush you. So stop despising the private season. That's the season that may be protecting you and forming you. And be committed to the process. Because after the first audition, I kept practicing. I worked on the areas that needed improvement. I stayed determined because I believed that this was something that I was supposed to be doing. I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until the next opportunity arrived where I was so much more prepared. And this time, the audition came and I passed and I completed it with flying colors. And in doing so, I didn't just become someone who occasionally filled in. Over time, I became one of our top drummers. And I don't say that to brag. I say that in full humility. For years, I've had the opportunity to consistently play for my church now, and I've loved it. And I've also had the beautiful moment of it, not just stopping there, but I've been able to teach and help the next generation and a couple other drummers also step into that calling and purpose that they have. And the beautiful thing is the dream continued to become bigger than me. Because this is what happens when you stay with the process. At first, you are simply trying to develop the skill. Then the skill creates an opportunity. And then the opportunity gives you the experience. And then your experience becomes wisdom. And eventually, the thing that you once struggled to learn becomes something that you can teach someone else. My 6th grade disappointment did not have the final word. The failed audition did not have the final word. The cymbal flying and crashing onto my lap did not have the final word. The work did. The process did. And I allowed God to continue to work on me from the inside out. There's this quote that says, amateurs practice until they get it right, and professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. And that doesn't mean professionals never make a mistake. It means that they don't build their confidence on the fact that they succeeded once. They develop repeatability. Anyone can have one good day. Anyone can create one good video. Anyone can deliver one strong presentation. Anyone can make one sale. Anyone can play one song correctly. Excellence is the ability to produce a high standard consistently. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. When pressure arrives, you tend to fall to the level of your preparation. That is why your private repetition matters. Your repetition creates reliability, and your reliability creates trust. When people have seen you operate with excellence, your presence should mean something. When you arrive, people should know that you came prepared. You were going to follow through. You were going to show up on time. You were going to do what you say. You were going to make the people around you better. That reputation is not built through self-promotion. It is built through repeated evidence and having the character and integrity that's going to keep you in the rooms that you're in. The race doesn't always go to the fastest person. The battle doesn't always go to the strongest person. The opportunity does not always go to the most naturally gifted person. Talent matters, resources matters, connection matters, but consistent preparation allows people to outperform others who possess greater natural advantages, but use them inconsistently. Not everyone can begin with the same resources. Not everyone receives the same education. Not everyone has the same access, support, or connections, but all of us can take greater responsibility for the effort we give to what is currently in our hands. I love this scripture that says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. It doesn't say do it with all your might when it's your dream assignment. It doesn't say do it with all your might only when people important are watching. It doesn't say do it with all your might when only you are being paid for what you believe you deserve. Whatever is in your hands, honor it, develop it, steward it, because how you handle what is currently in your hands is preparing you for what you keep asking to receive. A lot of us live according to have, do, be philosophy. What does that mean? We say that when I have the opportunity, then I will do the work and eventually I will be excellent. When I have the larger audience, I will be consistent. When I have better equipment, I will take the craft seriously. When I have more money, I will become more disciplined. But the order works differently. Be, do, have. Become the kind of person who takes the assignment seriously. Do the work that the person would do. Then you are prepared to have the responsibility that accompanies the results. Be the best version of yourself you can currently become. Do the best with what is currently in your hands and position yourself to handle the best opportunities when they arrive. There is another reason this matters. You see, existing has an expiration. Mine, yours. We often behave as though we have unlimited time. We place dreams on shelves and assume that we can return to them whenever we feel ready to delay. We would delay the conversation. We postpone the work. We keep saying, someday I will start. Someday we will create. Someday we will apologize. Someday we will be present with the people we love. But last time I look, it doesn't go someday, Monday, Tuesday. And the last time I look, we have two opportunities. We can keep saying someday or one day. We can say that this is day one. The truth is not supposed to paralyze us. It's supposed to focus us. An awareness of death can create the greater intention for our life. When you realize that your time is limited, distractions become easier to identify. An intention is something that moves the needle in your favor or in the favor of the people that you were called to serve. A distraction is something that consumes your attention without meaningfully serving the purpose that you are on. Your responsibilities, the people that depend on you. Successful people are hyper-focused on intention and learn to ignore distraction. Average people often hyper-focus on distraction and ignore intention. Then when things that matter most are gone, they experience regret. Do not wait until the end of your life to recognize what deserves your attention right now. So how do you begin to pay the price of excellence? First, you choose your arena. You cannot give everything to everyone. Identify the area in which you are committed to becoming excellent. It may be your marriage, parenting, business, ministry, health, leadership, crafts, your communication, your finances, your relationship with God. Choose the arena. Don't choose more than 3 either, because a double-minded man gets nothing. If you chase 2 rabbits, you get neither. Choose the area, and then second, define the repetition. Don't simply say, I want to improve. What does improvement require you repeatedly to do? For me, becoming a drummer, it required me spending time behind my kit on the practice pad doing rudiments, learning proper technique, developing timing, watching videos, getting better equipment. I needed the repetition. Your dreams probably need repetition too. And then third, invite honest feedback. I needed the worship leader that I had that was willing to tell me that I was not ready and what I could improve on. We can't see ourselves 360. We can only see 180 at best. You have blind spots that need to be seen and lovingly called out to call you higher. You need coaches and mentors and community. And that's why I can't stress this enough. If you haven't already joined the Better Than Best Brotherhood, click the link below, because what are you waiting for? You need accountability. You need coaching, mentor, and brothers that are going to call you higher. Find people who care enough about you to tell you the truth. Don't surround yourself with yes men, people that are only there to cater to your emotions and to be soft and cute with you. You need both people that can celebrate and challenge you. Find people who can create an environment for you to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And then 4, remain consistent while you're still hidden. Do the work before the opportunity appears. Do not make your discipline dependent on the applause. Prepare privately so you can perform publicly. And then 5, try again. A failed attempt is not the end of your story. A failed attempt is only failure if it makes you quit, because if you quit, you die. But failure can be a lesson, and it can propel you forward. Always fail and fall forward. Learn the lesson, make the adjustment, take the next opportunity. Yesterday's mistake should become today's instruction. Now, just a few more minutes, I want to challenge you. Think about one dream that you have placed on the shelf. Maybe you were rejected or embarrassed. Maybe your first attempt was a cymbal crashing down on you. What would happen if you stopped treating that moment as the conclusion or the ending? What would happen if you took the dream back off the shelf, blew off the dust, and did what it takes today privately so that you can perform it publicly? What would happen if you took the next 30, 60, 90 days and you committed to deliberate, measurable repetition? You may not control when the next opportunity appears, but you can control the person that you're becoming as you prepare in the waiting season for that next opportunity. So as we wrap up today, I once heard the drumline practicing down the street and dreamed about becoming a drummer. I pursued the dream and ended up being assigned an instrument I never asked to play. So I put the dream away. Years later, the dream returned. I practiced privately. I received an opportunity. I failed the opportunity. I was told not yet. So I went back and I worked and auditioned again, and I made the team. And I became one of the strongest drummers. And eventually, I had the privilege of teaching others to do the same. That is the price and the payoff of excellence. Who is waiting on the other side of you stepping out in radical obedience to becoming excellent in what God has put in your hands? Because excellence does not require you to begin as the most talented person in the room. It requires you to remain coachable and teachable. It requires you to keep showing up and consistent in practice and implement a feedback loop that is going to continue to help you get better daily. If it's not working for you, it is working on you. So allow the work to work on you until it works for you. Excellence is found in the process. Don't despise the process. Don't despise the little that is in your hand. Do the best you can. Do what you can. And as always, friend, I love you and I'm praying for you. And go live better than best as we conquer this week. And I will see you either in the Better Than Best Brotherhood as we go from stage to table and truly go after what God has called you to do, or to watch this next video. But I really strongly encourage you, don't just get stuck in the sea of information. Don't just get stuck in the learning loop. Take action now. I love you, friend. And I cannot wait to see what God is going to continue to do in and through your life. Peace.